Welcome back to the channel, guys. I hope you're having a good evening. We got the Odyssey official trailer. Christopher Nolan's at the helm of this. The Education Entertainment Television channel, the channel that breaks down these great cinema pieces the best, gives you the most information, in-depth information. And of course, what we try to do is we try to focus on the more deeper cinema pieces that that isn't just mindless material. And some of you might say, well, hey man, aren't you doing those popcorn comic book movies? And yes, you would be correct. I do a lot of Superman because the Superman mythos, to me, blends a lot with mythologies of, past cultures and such, like what we get from the Odyssey here. But we're going to watch this trailer and we're going to try to break it down and see what we can get out of it. All right, let's take a look. Odyssey.
After years of war.
All right, so right away in the opening of this the trailer, right, you see the scale, right? We're looking, it's epic scale. No CGI yet. Christopher Nolan, I think he's known for his practical effects, right? And of course, Odysseus is being portrayed by Matt Damon. I like Matt Damon, but some people are saying Matt Damon's kind of pulling him out, right? That's how come sometimes with certain movies, right, when it's hard being an actor because you kind of get typecast, right? You look at something like Matt Damon, which you're first thinking like the Bourne Identity, the Bourne Legacy, the Jason Bourne films. And even though Matt Damon is an excellent actor, but sometimes when you do a role so good, it's just hard to escape it. But some people are saying it's pulling them out. I can rock with Matt Damon. I think he can deliver on this. I think he's going to play this right. And so we get practical effects. Looks like we get a epic filmed on location, filmed probably around Turkey, where the Iliad takes place, or the Trojan War, right? Because if you know the story of the Iliad, Odysseus first is in fighting the Trojan War for about 10 years. And the person he's bowing to is the High King Agamemnon, right? Now, I was disappointed with this being Agamemnon because there's going to be mythology in this. The gods, the Greek gods are in this movie, which I think is bold for Christopher Nolan to do. I've never seen Christopher Nolan to date do something mythological, do something fantastical. And like many of us, he probably read the Iliad, right, in school or something like that, and wanted to do this film, right? But, I mean, even in that film, Troy, right, the one we watched with Brad Pitt and as Achilles and such, I don't remember any Greek gods in there, right? But they are in this. So it's a bold move on Christopher Nolan's part. Let's see what he does with it. But this, as I understand it, is Agamemnon. I haven't verified that yet. We're going to take a look at the actors who, cast these parts and such. But a lot of people had trouble with the armor that the High King Agamemnon is wearing. The black helm, the black helmet, the black armor. It is very reminiscent of the description of the god Hades. So I was first led to believe this would be a good tie-in to the introduction of the god Hades, because in the Odyssey, Odysseus does end up in Hades, right? trying to rescue, I believe, his mother. But anyway, it's supposed to be Agamemnon. There may be many jokes about this. People are saying it looks like Batman, taking a hit at Christopher Nolan. I think it's cool looking armor, right? It's definitely stylized. It's not accurate. It looks like to the period. And a lot of people say, well, it's just a movie. It's a fantasy movie. It's mythologized. It's got to be mythology in it, and it doesn't have to be accurate. And that's true. It doesn't have to be. Some of us just kind of find it a little bit inconsistent with Christopher Nolan's films, right? Christopher Nolan is the attention to detail guy. He's the guy who, when he did Interstellar, he didn't just say this is a science fiction movie. We want to get the black hole right, and to my understanding, it's the most accurate depiction of what a black hole would look like to date in any film, etc. So he does a good job of that. Does Dunkirk, he does period pieces that are accurate. So a lot of people were looking for him to get this correct. And he didn't want to do that. So some people are bothered by it. I'm not bothered, by it. I just want to see where it goes.
No one could stand between my men and home.
I'm not. That might be Ithaca. Odysseus is the king of Ithaca in Greece, right? That's probably home before he goes out to the Trojan War. I don't know if that's the walls of Troy. I would think the walls of Troy would be a little bit more grand looking, right? Just going back to what I said earlier about Christopher Nolan doing this accurate, well, there have been many dig sites thought to be Troy, and there's been many, archaeologists who believe that Troy actually existed as such or something like it, or it was the inspiration of something. Whatever you want to go with, many people do kind of lean to Troy actually existed. Now, Tom Holland, our Spider-Man, is playing Telemachus, right? I believe his name is Telemachus. That would be Odysseus' son. And what happens in Greek culture is that when the king doesn't return, Ithaca, the queen Penelope, she can't rule by herself. She has to pick a male suitor to take Odysseus' place. And Telemachus doesn't like that, right? And so in the story, in the story, the Odyssey, he finally just gets tired of it and goes on a search for his father, because during this period in which they have to Penelope has to pick a new suitor. They're basically exhausting all the resources of the land. They just sit around there for months and moons, and the hospitality of the kingdom is, they have to provide the resources to these nobles that would seek the hand of Penelope. And so it's putting such a strain on the resources of the kingdom that Telemachus has to go do something. So that was Anne Hathaway, and I'm assuming Anne Hathaway is playing Penelope. I haven't looked at the IMDb yet. We're gonna try to take a look at it at the end of the trailer, see if we can see who else is in this film. But I'm assuming Anne Hathaway is probably Penelope.
Not even me.
That was something else people were bringing up, these ships, right? The ships out to sea. Some people say they look like Viking longboats. And they do actually, but I can only say that from what I've seen historically of Greek ships, right? Many of the Egyptian ships, Greek ships, Roman ships, Viking ships, you're talking about, I think the story would take place about 3,000 years before the Common Era, right? So this was outdate. This would predate Jesus by thousands of years. It's around 3,000 BC. But my understanding of how these ships look, they all kind of had a similar look to a long. I guess the technology of shipbuilding was pretty much across the board, probably along the same technological development. So these ships had a very similar look to what would be a long ship. You know what I mean? So the idea that it looks like a Viking long ship, that might not be inaccurate on Christopher Nolan's part. Now, looks like in that scene, that may have been the Trojans uh, getting what would be the Trojan horse, right? You know the story of the Iliad. The Trojan horse is, and of course, that common idea what would be a Trojan horse. Beware of Greeks that give gifts. The Trojan horse, right, is left out at sea, and the Trojans are under the impression that it's a gift. If I'm not mistaken, it's like from Poseidon. It's like a gift to Poseidon, or it's some to the point of saying that the Greeks are returning. They failed. They're leaving Troy, and they've erected the Trojan horse as a gift to calm the sea. I could be wrong in that, but in any event, the Trojan sees the Trojan horse, and they bring it back into the walls of the city. Right, as the story says. Unbeknownst to them, the Greeks are hiding inside. Now you see the blade that comes down and strikes the man, and they grab his mouth, right? What's happening is they're inside this big wooden horse they built, and of course the idea is to get in the walls of the city so they can open the gates, they can flood in. When the sword comes down and strikes the back of the of the soldier there, if he screams, he gives away that it's something, and the whole plot is spoiled, right? If so, they have to quiet his mouth to keep him from, letting know anybody's inside there. Now, inside the cave in the story of the Iliad, we know that to be Cyclops. Now, Cyclops, that big creature that you're seeing creeping into the cave, right? The Cyclops usually traps humans in there. He eats them, right? Now, how the story goes, they stab, and I hope I'm not trying to spoil the movie, of course. We don't know if Christopher Nolan is going to go the way of if he's going to go the way of the story, line for line, right? He can adapt it. He might do this differently than the books. It might be true to the book, to the story, or not. We don't know that, but I'm hoping at this point it's not considered spoiler territory, because for most of us, the Iliad was required reading, right? So not, most people won't be spoiled from this who attended school. But as many know the story, they would probably know that the Cyclops is which would be the son of Poseidon, right? In stories. And they stab out his eye, and when Odysseus tries to get on the sea, because Poseidon's the god of the sea, he controls the sea, he's basically never permitted to return home. As long as Poseidon can keep him at sea, he's never going to be able to make it back. And so that's part of Odysseus' punishment for wounding the Cyclops, Poseidon's son. And that seems to be Sheol, right? Hades, right? They're there. And this is where I thought it was a missed opportunity for, Christopher Nolan. And that Hades is known to have like impressive armor, or he's depicted wearing like impressive dark armor with a helm of invisibility, a helmet that can turn you invisible as such, right? I believe Perseus acquires it in the when he slays the Gorgon Medusa. And so, I don't know if Hades is what he's going to be like in here, if he's going to be in here or whatnot. But anyway, that was the where I thought that Agamemnon's armor character would have fit better with Hades, in that it would explain why the armor is so advanced looking and impressive. That may have been Hades right there.
Promise me you will come back. What if I can't?
It looks good. It looks good. Of course, with Christopher Nolan, I'm on board 100%. Whatever Christopher Nolan does. I haven't seen a bad film with Christopher Nolan yet. And I don't think it's going to be an exception here. This, I think Christopher Nolan may try to transform this into his magnum opus, right? I can see that. Could be Oscar worthy, right? He has got every big person. In fact, let's take a look at the cast. Okay, let's go down the list. Of course, we have Matt Damon as Odysseus. We have Tom Holland as Telemachus. Right, I don't know who Elliot Page is going to be playing again. Tom Holland will be playing Matt Damon's son. Robert Pattinson, the Batman, is Antonius, right? Now, Antonius, I believe, is the person who is one of the suitors, right, in Ithaca. Who I think he's like one of the closest in line to becoming the new bride of Penelope. And he is a problem, right? He is a huge problem, in that situation. Zendaya Athena, the goddess Athena, again, like the pictures I saw of Zendaya as Athena, looks, very much like a normal human, nothing fantastical about it. Benny Safdie, I'm not very familiar with him, but he is who will be playing Agamemnon. Mia Goth, Melantho, Anne Hathaway, Penelope, and the Punisher, John Bernthal, will be playing Menelaus, right? Menelaus, the king of Sparta. Now, this is interesting. Charlize Theron will be playing Circe, right? The story of the sorceress Circe. That's going to be interesting. And, quite a bit of other people, a big cast of people, known people. James Remar, who just came out of It, Welcome to Derry, as well as Giovanna Depo, right? And so, yeah, it looks good. It looks like it's going to be quite a film here, quite a film. Let me all know what you think. Are you excited to see the Odyssey, right? Christopher Nolan, of course, I'm going to be on board either way. But that's all I want to say in this particular video. Guys, if you like content like this, don't forget to like, subscribe. Till next time, as always, take care of yourselves and each other.